All right, hi guys, welcome to my latest video. Today we're trying something a little bit different, and we're going to try filming while I'm out and about. Obviously, I've tried to do more videos than I've actually put out, and it gets a little bit tricky sometimes finding the time. And I guess I wanted to also, so I enjoy photography quite a bit, and I do mess around with videography. I wouldn't say I'm a videographer because, frankly, I'm learning from zero at the moment. But I decided some of this might be a little bit more interesting if I was to have a bit more Aussie bush in the videos, I guess. I say bush, I'm in the middle of Brisbane City, so it's not the bushiest bush, but yeah, anyway. My setup is partway there. I still haven't got a proper external mic yet, so this audio might be a little bit crap, especially when the wind starts hitting it. But we'll see if this is usable, and yeah, let's get on with the next episode. This is my magnum opus. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. Right, so seems to be working fine. So we're going to carry on with the episodes. I just quickly downloaded the footage to my phone, had a quick listen, and yes, apologies about the wind, but hopefully the visual trade-off is worth it, unless, like me, you listen to YouTube more than watch it. Anyway, today what I wanted to talk about was one of the things that I guess was the biggest letdown for me in Christianity, and that was the fact that I was never able to receive healing. So I've mentioned in at least one or two of the live streams that my eyesight's not particularly great. Now there's a huge irony in this because I'm someone that loves photography and loves to film and to basically look at all the latest gadgets, like my current filming setup, which is a Osmo Pocket. And it does surprise people because I guess the natural reaction is if your eyesight's bad, you're probably not the best person to be taking photos or to filming or anything like that. But for me, it's something where technology has been able to fill that gap. So here I am outside, and I can't see everything, but my camera can. And my camera basically gives me a chance to inspect the footage later. And basically I can have a look at this wonderful view. And once that's back on my computer, happy days, I get a closer look at everything that my eyes missed out on while I was actually in location. Now, I've had a funny relationship with my eyesight basically for my entire life. Obviously, being in church, particularly a Pentecostal faith-based healing church, it was very common to sort of go and ask for healing from God to restore my eyesight, and Jesus paid the price that we could be whole. Obviously, that never happened, and that was a constant source of disappointment and anxiety because the teachings are that if you've got faith as small as a mustard seed, it was enough to move mountains. And compared to a mountain, fixing the macula of my eye seems like it should be fairly easy. So, looking back, and this is a self-reflective point, it's not a point that I think is necessarily rigorous or debatable, not debatable, or basically it's my opinion. And I wonder if those formative years, so I was a Christian from about the age of 13 through till about 21. The dates are fuzzy for the end because you sort of, for me anyway, the end was a gradient. It wasn't off the edge, off the cliff. But those years are very important. I remember when everyone in my youth group was going through the age without getting a car, and I didn't get a car. I think technically my eyesight's just on the edge, and not the edge of a normal license, the edge of a license where I could only drive local roads, I can only drive during the day. And frankly, for me, the risk was too great that I don't see a person, I don't see something on the road and I hurt someone, myself or someone that's with me. And to me, that just wasn't worth getting a license at all. So I didn't. I'm still not Casey Neistat. I still stop vlogging when there's someone walking past. So I didn't get my car license. Everyone else around me got cars. And I was meanwhile praying that God would restore my sight. And I think those years in particular, like being in high school and having to sort of sit right up in front of the blackboard, not the front chair of class, but like I remember in Chinese, like I learned Chinese in high school. Ni hao, ni hao ma, wa he le ni ne. That was probably horrible pronunciation, but anyway, I would be on a stool, like face against the blackboard. And it was ostracizing. It was frustrating. It was a point where you're not fitting in. And in high school, that feels very strongly, that sort of hits you very strongly. Other classes where I had friends, I would just copy their notebook right next to me instead of copying off the blackboard. And meanwhile, the church is telling me that, there's healing for you. Jesus paid the price and, we've just got to pray. And I think that because of that, I never fully accepted that my eyesight's crap. And that only came to light to me relatively recently. So when I was doing my undergraduate degree, which was a Bachelor of Communication, high five all the art students out there, and I missed a assessment because I missed it on the website. Now this sounds really silly, but the assessment due date was placed somewhere on the website that is different to every other subject I'd done. And we're talking like the 20th subject or something that I had to do. Is that right? Yeah, it's 80 years. Yeah, there's 32 subjects. So it was about subject 20. And I had to ask for an extension. And to get that extension, I had to sort of argue that, hey, my eyesight's really bad and that's why I missed it. Which sort of led me to being basically going through the process of disability accessibility, going through the disability accessibility officer to make sure that, I had everything I needed to be able to study effectively. And that was sort of really confronting for me. And I remember being on the phone, having that discussion and feeling really vulnerable and getting fairly upset that I had to sort of lay it out like that. And after that, I've started to wonder if I didn't deal with that fact back when I was a teenager, because the church was telling me that this is temporary. This is not, at the very least in heaven, this will be all solved. But it's an aspect of myself that I was forced to not accept. I say forced. Like, I was part of the church. I chose this interaction, but I was pressured into it, not accepting it as part of who I am. And it wasn't until maybe a year ago that I found some way in making some sort of peace with it, I guess. And that's when one of my boss at the time pointed out to me that, it's really easy to forget that I have this disability. And that's because I've got lots of little techniques and tools that I sort of use to not hide it, but, I need to memorize things more than people who may be able to, do things like rely on notes. So for this example in my YouTube channel, I don't do scripts because how am I going to read a script? If I put the script in front of my face, it's not going to be the greatest video. And then, I look at buying a camera that can track my face. So even though I can't see that 1-inch screen that's arm's length away, I'm sort of hoping that the technology is making up for me. And that was a moment where I could finally accept how that is part of my life. I'm really lucky to have a wife that has never once made me feel like I'm resented, maybe because she's always the driver. She dropped me off at the shopping centre today rather than getting the bus because Sundays the buses are a bit crap. And she's not once made me feel like I'm an inconvenience, which I guess that's always my fear. And to be clear, I'm not talking for or on behalf of people that maybe have one form of disability or another, because I've never identified, I've never been part of that as a community. I've never sought that community out for support or anything. because majority of my life I've tried to, I want to say tried to hide it, but it doesn't feel like the right, because, I make jokes with my friends about being blind and I can't see particularly far, and embarrassing situations like getting into a car because I can't recognize who's in the car. And I think that's my friend here to pick me up, but no, it's just some random family. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I thought you were someone else. And yeah. And I wonder if I would have been further along in my journey of self-acceptance if it wasn't for religion. Because instead of having this idea that there's a perfect version of ourselves that we will one day possess, whether that's in heaven, whether that's after healing, whether that's through the Holy Spirit, inhabiting our bodies, it makes us dissatisfied with who we are. Because even the most devout Christian believes that they're a sinner, that they're imperfect, that it won't be until the afterlife, heaven, the rapture, Armageddon, whatever their form of eschatology is, they won't believe that they are perfect. They won't be satisfied with who they are until that moment. And now, at least, after religion, and we're talking over 20 years, clearly over 20 years since I stopped being a devout Christian, probably close to 20 years since I stopped thinking about God. I mean, when I first stopped going to church, I assumed that I'd find my way back. I just, kind of thought I was the prodigal son for a while, but 20 years after, and I'm still finding ways to accept who I am, accept where my limits are, accept what my talents are. And I think that's what people that are still in the church are missing out on. They're going to say that we're atheists, we're immoral, we lack meaning. But I can be honest, I can look at myself and I can say, yes, I'm Sam. I got shitty eyesight. I'm alright at talking in front of people. I like to take photos even though I'm never going to be the best. But I'm living a good life. So, yeah. So, we just ran out of SD card space, but it was just time to say, please hit that subscribe button. Like the video, dislike the video, let me know what you thought. Leave a comment down below if you disagree with my characterization or my experience in Christianity and feeling dissatisfaction at the idea that I'm supposed to be perfect but I'm not. Or if you're an atheist and you can relate, or you've had similar experiences where leaving religion has allowed you to be more accepting of who you are. Would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for being with me for the last 2 months. 2019's been a big warm-up, and hopefully 2020 will be a bigger year.
They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now.